Won't go. Rebound Bosh. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang! Tie game with 5 seconds remaining.
Oh yeah. We packing somebody up tonight. Hey. Come on in, take your shoes off before we close the door. Few rules, heat pack in the air, we about to blow. This the basement, ain't nobody safe, you already know. Grab a seat and kick your feet before you get too comfortable. You want the X's and the O's, the trade, yes and no. Friends and the foes, the butlers and the heroes. You can feel it in your soul, but when the ring is the goal. But if somebody need to go, we be sure to let you know. Going hard for my dogs is an everyday thing. Like Jimmy down the lane of 13 off the screen. Whole squad keep it tucked like number 17. Bring your takes and your memes, going hard for the team. Going down in the basement. It's going down in the basement. Get your takes off. Get your takes off. Going down in the basement.
Yeah! Welcome to the basement. Bitch. I'm your host, Royal A. Shepard.
I have to lower my volume for that. Jeez.
No, I might not be the host for long because I'm finna jump off a fucking bridge. I'm joined by two of the OGs of the basement, my boy Adam Borai and my guy Ariel Attias. Ariel, why are you upset, bro?
I don't want to be here, man. I can do better shit tonight. Where do we even start, bro? Okay. So I will preface this by saying I didn't think, that the Heat were likely to get Donovan. For sure they were a player in the Donovan Mitchell thing, and we thought that they were probably the second most likely team to end up with him after the Knicks, who were, I think, justifiably the favorite. They had more draft capital. I would say that RJ Barrett, Tyler Hero, kind of, depending on who you like better, but it's like you're talking similar ballpark in terms of good young player. And I would have been more okay with the deal with the Heat missing out on Donovan if the Cavs had given up like 5 unprotected firsts and multiple pick swaps and the same players, because to me then like the Heat can't match that. I get it, but if it's 3 decent young players, I'm not super high on Colin Sexton. I like him, but I'm not super high on him. Hasn't played in a year. Lauri Markkanen, solid young player, also not super high on him. Ochai Agbaji, I think that's how you say his name, 14th overall pick. Probably going to be a decent young player. I don't know. But to me, 3 firsts, 2 swaps, the Heat could have gotten there pretty easily. They probably could have made some additional moves if they needed to unlock another pick to like really beat that offer. And what's driving me insane, so like I see that trade drop, I'm pissed off, ruins my day. I'm mad on my drive home from work. And then I get on Twitter and I should, guys, like listen to everyone. Don't tweet when you're emotional, because I'm tweeting like, the Heat didn't have a good offseason and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just getting flooded with these fucking people that what are you talking about? What did you want them to do? They had a good offseason. They were a shot away from the finals. Man, if you don't shut the fuck up with that stuff, I'm so damn tired of that argument. Like, I'm so tired of the whole, the people that just, no matter what it is, no matter what happens, whether the Heat make a move, whether they don't make a move, they will go to bat for this front office. I am a Heat fan. I love the Heat. You check my closet. I've got tons of jerseys. I love the Heat. I want them to win a championship, dude. But that doesn't mean that you have to go to bat for every single thing that they do. And that when you don't, it means that you're on the opposite side of the fence, right? The hypocrisy in that whole argument is that those very same people will find a way to justify every single thing the Heat do or don't do. I can make an argument for everything. I could have made an argument for why they should have traded for James Harden. I could have made an argument for why they shouldn't trade for James Harden. You can do that for anything, but when you consistently fall on the exact same side of the fence every single time, and then you chastise other people who just like straight up, like, I don't like their offseason, does that make me a hater? No, bro. But like objectively speaking, they lost their 3rd best defender, starting power forward, re-signed a couple of their guys. That's great. That's awesome. We love that. But all of the teams around them, their main competitors in the Eastern Conference, got better. So if, and at the last thing I'm going to say is like, you've got a guy like Donovan Mitchell who wanted to be here, right? Like maybe New York was his first choice. Maybe it was Miami. I don't know. I don't really care. He's hanging out with Bam. He's hooping with Bam all summer. He wanted to be here, right? how many of those guys are going to come around? And at what point, like, do we just get to the next available star and say, oh, well, the Heat got outbid by the Knicks, or the Heat got outbid by whoever it's going to be, that, they just didn't have enough assets. Like, at what point do we say, like, guys, this is Jimmy's window. You need to make a move to win. They're probably not good enough as constructed. They might win a championship, but literally everything has to break in their favor. And so I think it's justifiable to be upset. And I'm sick and tired of all the fans on Twitter that are like, they will fucking defend anything that goes down with this team. /rant.
Yeah. So first of all, epic opening, Ariel Attias.
I'm in such a bad mood, man.
Top notch. But no, like you made several good points within that long ass soliloquy that we'll kind of break down as we go throughout the show. I do want to kind of give Adam a chance to talk because all of his meat munchers are in the comments already asking about how this went down. So, Borai, go ahead and give me your thoughts on kind of how this went down.
I want to echo everything that Ariel just said times 1,000. I mean, we could sit here all night and talk about the fallacies and the issues that the Heat front office have and just go line by line, tweet by tweet about everything and every issue, but we're not going to do that, okay? We're going to just stick to the Donovan Mitchell side of things, why it's such a big deal, and how this impacts the future of the Heat and their chances to win a championship in the future. I will start by saying, for anyone that's saying, oh, that was an overpay for Donovan Mitchell, their Tyler Hero is very close to whatever Donovan Mitchell is going to be or is right now. Let me say this. It's the same people that wanted to trade for Kevin Durant and wanted to trade everything for KD. The Knicks still have those picks.
That's the funniest thing.
Let's just remember that, okay? The Knicks are still in the game for every single star, right? And if we're sitting here and we're saying, okay, the Heat still have all of their assets, right? All of their very limited assets that they currently have. The Knicks also have those assets. And not only that, but other teams that didn't enter the fold for a Donovan Mitchell or didn't enter the fold for a Kevin Durant will be in the hunt. Memphis, I'm looking right at you. There are going to be teams that aren't the Heat that are going to want to improve because they see the archetype of how a team and how it's supposed to be built in the future. And the Cavs are doing it perfectly. I mean, they now have 4 All-Stars on the roster, and the oldest guy that's an All-Star is like 25. It's Donovan, I think. And they have Donovan now for the next 3 years, plus maybe an extension on top of that. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I think that's the risk here, the component that maybe – thank you, Voodoo. I think the risk here –
That's not Voodoo, bro.
Yeah. Voodoo's name is Voodoo Visions. This is
it's the same thing. Same person. Look, the Heat are in a very tough and peculiar position because on one hand, Jimmy Butler is 33. He's 33 years old. You're in his window. You want to compete during his window, but at the same time, you got really close and you don't want to give up the future because at the same time, you know that Jimmy Butler is 33 years old and that he's very close to maybe falling off of that proverbial hill that cliff that could be coming in the future because of all of his extensive injury history and how long he's been playing the game. So I understand the Heat's approach of taking it slow, making sure you strike correctly when the time is hot. But when is the time to strike? If you're going to overpay for a guy, you do it when you're so close to a championship, when you are a shot away from the finals, when you are 2 games away from winning a championship. That is the time to overpay. It's not when you're in the Knicks position, when you're the 9th seed or the 10th seed, right? And you have all of these picks. That is not the time to overpay. The Heat should have overpaid for Donovan Mitchell. This is a day that the Heat front office is going to remember because they had a guy who Donovan Mitchell's second favorite option behind New York would have been Miami. He wanted to be here. He's 25 years old. He's best friends with Bam. You have him for the next 10 years, right? And you could have. I'm not going to say the word easily, but you could have beaten the Cavs offer, right? And this whole delusion that Danny Ainge wasn't going to trade with Pat Riley, give me a break. Like that's not how the world works, right?
Yeah, that's kind of like one of the things. Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that was irritating me the most about people talking about the relationship between Pat and Danny Ainge as the reason why this couldn't get the deal done. Like Danny Ainge is not going to make a worse deal because he doesn't like Pat Riley. But this HM point, he said Cavs landed Mitchell for marketing a rookie and a guy that didn't play at all last year. That is a huge win for them, and I absolutely agree. Let's talk about some of the pieces that went in that deal because a lot of, like to Ariel's point, like a lot of these Heat fans are kind of like all over the place in terms of the way that they're perceiving this. We're talking about Colin Sexton, who these same Heat fans argued that Tyler Hero was better than. You're talking about Lauri Markkanen, who these same Heat fans would absolutely put Duncan over. And you're talking about a rookie when we got a rookie who they probably absolutely put our rookie over. Then the same amount of picks and pick swaps that we were talking about that Miami had in the cupboard to be able to use as ammunition. Ariel, when you was talking about the Heat being able to beat this offer, like what package were you envisioning when you said that?
So, I mean, I think we all know what the package is. The question, like, okay, so obviously the package is probably like Tyler Hero, Duncan for salary purposes. You've got Jovic, you've got they have access to 3 first-round picks right now, the Heat do, right? Tradable first-round picks, 23, 27, and 29, I believe. Adam, correct me if I'm wrong. So they could have gotten the 3 unprotected first, 2 swaps. So you match the draft capital. If I'm Danny Ainge, and I agree with you. I don't give any credence to the idea that like he didn't want to make the deal with the Heat because of this Pat Riley agenda. Like, no, that's bullshit.
Don't bring it up again. Like it's the dumbest argument I've ever seen in my life.
It's complete bullshit. You make the best deal of possible. You know, this is business. You want to keep your job. You want to put your team in a good position to succeed. So, like to me, if I'm looking at it from a deal making perspective, whose picks do you think? Like, I don't know if the Heat or the Cavs picks will definitely be.
You can easily argue that the Heat's picks could be worth.
That's where that's what I was getting to. Like, look,
we'll end with a better record next year.
Okay, I don't agree with that, but it's not far fetched. Like,
regular
season? I could see it. No, I don't agree. I think the Heat will finish above them, but I would not be shocked if that was the case.
You think the Heat are going to finish above the Cavs?
If I had to put my money on it right now, I would say yes, but they're like an injury. Yeah. We'll get.
I'm gonna let you get your point off. We'll get to that. Next.
Okay. So like if I'm Danny Ainge and I'm looking at those picks, it's like, okay, the Heat. Okay, you expect the Heat to kind of be good every year in and year out. They're not traditionally a lottery team, and the Cavs are. But now you've put them in a position where they've got a really young core, like Adam was talking about, multiple guys who are all-star level players. Right. And like, what's if the expectation is that those picks are going to be valuable in a couple of years, like it's just bad business. So to me, the only question is, what did the Heat really put on the table? Like, how serious were they in their pursuit of Donovan Mitchell? Because their best offer, I think, beats that Cleveland offer that was ultimately accepted. If you are the Jazz, if you're Danny Ainge, you've been negotiating with the Knicks, you've been negotiating with the Heat. Maybe in the last week, there were reports that those talks kind of died down. So, okay, fine. But you know that those teams are at the very least interested, right? You've had those conversations before. So you get that offer from the Cavs. Like that, this deal is on the table. If we say yes, we're getting it. You make a call to, the Knicks. You call up the Heat. Hey, this is the offer from Cleveland. Are you going to beat this? Like that's how it goes down 100%. And so the Heat, I just want to understand, like when that offer comes across your table, when that phone call comes in and you go, no, we're not going to beat that. It's like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, really, what are we doing here? Because you can beat that offer. And I agree. Like, I think it was Barry who was talking about, well, Tyler Hero, Donovan Mitchell's better than Tyler Hero, but he might not be Tyler Hero and 2 first-round picks better than Tyler Hero. But like to Adam's point, that's not.
But no, let me.
Even if he isn't,
he is not because of the player that Donovan Mitchell is, but because you are in a position where you want to win a championship.
Exactly.
That means overpaying is
exactly.
So now Donovan Mitchell.
It's not about.
I will say
go ahead.
Everyone's clowning the Knicks and making fun of the Knicks. The Heat fumbled this more than the Knicks did.
Sure. The Knicks aren't winning shit if they go and make that deal.
The Knicks are young. They're still in the same position that they were. They weren't in championship contention before, and they have infinitely more assets than the Heat do. The Heat have a very small window, and they had an opportunity to get younger and better and stay in this window. and they passed it.
Speaking of small windows, like what were the implications of that KZ Pollard trade? Didn't we have a limited time to use that shit? Like,
yeah, they didn't even use it if I remember correctly.
Well, I mean, of course you remember correctly because they haven't done shit to use it at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't even have to remember.
They just did not use it, but that's kind of what it is. But no, I wanted to get to this kind of like, where do the Heat rank currently in the East now after this move? And we want to thank all 200 of you that are in here. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to the basement. We need all the help that we can get, kind of grow this channel. We want to make sure that we get to where we're trying to get the watch hours that we need. But yeah, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and follow all our content that we're putting up. And we'll talk about our sponsor a little bit later. But yeah, so Adam, you and I were kind of running through this exercise a little bit before. And just to rattle off a couple of names, you got Boston, Milwaukee, the 76ers, the Cavs are now somewhere in this conversation.
Nets, the Raptors.
The Raptors are in this conversation. The Hawks got better. Like, it's kind of like, and I understand, like, some of those teams, like the Raptors and Hawks, maybe a little culture. Yeah, whatever. But those teams are indeed closer to Miami's level than they were last year. So kind of in the midst of all of these teams, where do you see Miami kind of ranking right now as it stands today?
The Heat, as a regular season team, I could see them playing competitively in the last week of the season to make sure they're not in the play-in.
Wow.
Last week of the season. I could see them trying to make sure they're not in the play-in, but I can also see them as a 6 seed beating the 3 seed and then losing in the second round. That's right now where I have them. 6 seed, second round, then losing.
I'm gonna take that down.
But somebody made a comment about the Heat having or seeing Tyler Hero as this, exponential player and piece that us Heat fans don't see him as.
They're banking on that kind of internal growth of him taking the lead.
This one. Hey Dom, why isn't Tyler Hero extended?
Also, can I add to that really quick? Why then, if we know Tyler was on the table, why do the Cavs essentially prefer Colin Sexton at 18 mil per? Yeah, it's less than Tyler. Okay, but the guy also hasn't played in a year. Why do they prefer Colin Sexton at 18 mil per? We're almost at the point of saying that Tyler Hero, in terms of what the perception is around the league, if you look at this trade, might be worth just about or less than a Colin Sexton. And at 18 mil per. That's pretty tough.
You can definitely say that. That means that the rest of the league is not as high on Tyler Hero as the rest of you fucks. That's what.
Well, maybe we're not all a bunch of haters, and maybe all the fucking people that are on that side of the fence should can smell the grass on this side.
Learn the game. You can learn what talent looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to look. At the end of the day, like, it's kind of like.
And I'm a Tyler guy, by the way. I
think as
we want him to be good.
And I think that's the misconception a lot of time about when we have these conversations about where we want these players to develop. Sometimes it's not about what the player is or what they can be. It's about what we need right now. And if they were legitimately trying to win in Jimmy's window, then Tyler was the most successful piece that they could have used. Ariel, I did want to kind of get your thoughts on where the Heat rank in this new Eastern landscape.
Like, I don't agree with Adam, but I would not be shocked.
Older. Remember, they got older.
No, I know. That's why I'm not vehemently disagreeing with you. I do think that just as long as Tyler and Jimmy, fuck Tyler. As long as Jimmy and Bam, I'm just kidding. As long as Jimmy and Bam stay pretty healthy, like if both guys play, let's give it 65 games, which isn't a given, but let's say 65 games, then it's not a given. I'm comfortable in saying that they're a top 4 team. There's for sure the caveat that injuries could derail their season, although they had injuries last year and they won 53 games. So they also did get older. So I'm really in between. But if I had to put my money down on it, I would say I think they're probably I think they're the 3rd best team in the East. I just think there's the teams right behind them are close to them, and that the 2 teams ahead of them are there's a sizable gap at this point.
So Milwaukee and Boston are the 2 teams that you have in front of them, and then
and then I think the Heat are the 3rd best team, but that all those other teams are not far behind them, and it doesn't take a lot for those teams to jump them.
Last year, just a reminder, last year the 5th seed was 3 games behind the 1 seed.
Right, exactly.
Remember that.
Right. And so you have them above Philly right now.
I do. Yeah, I do. I think they're better than all of those teams, but not by much. Like, I do think it's close. Like, I would say Philly is the next best. Philly and Brooklyn. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with Brooklyn, man. I can't really peg them. But Philly, Brooklyn, maybe Cleveland, man. Like, depending on the jump that Evan Mobley takes, like, Jared Allen's getting better, Darius Garland. Like, they're all young, man. Isaac Okoro could make a leap. Like, you never know. So, it's hard to like definitively say I'm comfortable saying they're the third best team. But, like, right now, before I see any games played, I think they're the third best team in the East.
Yeah, I disagree entirely, which is no shock to anybody here. I think Miami is probably the 5th seed right now. I just because I mean I don't know what it is, and maybe it's foolish of me to still believe in what Brooklyn is capable of. I just believe with that level of talent that they have over there, like they're going to be able to figure some shit out.
They were the 1 seed before injuries.
They're going to have an infinitely better season this year than they had last year, and I think people are sleeping on that because of how they exited the playoffs unceremoniously last year. Excuse me. Somebody said they wanted to hear us talk about Bam. So let's do that. Because without us going out and getting another superstar, we're almost 100% doubling down on internal growth, which means Bam and Tyler primarily are going to be the guys that we're looking at to take massive leaps forward in order to keep us in just to keep us in the conversation with the top teams. Ariel, how much growth are you expecting? Like, are you expecting Bam to take kind of like the leap necessary in order to keep us in that conversation?
I think Tyler has more room for growth than Bam does. I don't know if I want to say that, but I would say, let me rephrase that. I think I would expect Tyler to improve more than I would expect Bam to improve. I just like Tyler took such a jump last season, whereas over the last 2 seasons, like Bam has improved year over year, but the jump hasn't been like substantial. It hasn't been a really big jump, right? He's increased his field goal attempts while his field goal percentage has dropped just a little bit. His shot diet is more or less the same. We saw a dip in his efficiency from the mid-range last year. Oh my God, check, bros. Can we don't do that while I'm mid-take. That just killed me. But yeah, like I would short answer. I expect both to improve. If I can say that, I feel that way for Cleveland's young guys. Like, it would be hypocritical of me, and we try not to do that. But on Heat Twitter, that to say that I don't expect Bam and Tyler to improve. So like, I do expect them to improve. I think Tyler will have a really good season next year, and I do think that he could easily lead the Heat in scoring. With Bam. How many times are we going to have this conversation? We know what we want from Bam. We know what we need to see. It's in there. He's just got to do it. So I do, short answer, I expect more growth from those young guys. I do think that'll help offset the loss of PJ a little bit, but that it's not good over, they have to make a move for a 4, I think, because that front court rotation is just shallow. And I want as little Jimmy at the 4 minutes as possible. And if you're putting Caleb at the 4, you're also asking to ruin that deal and the way that deal looks to everyone, because he's not suited to be a starting 4, in my opinion. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, the type of growth that I think would need to happen in order to make up for the loss of PJ Tucker is Bam would have to grow into a second person and goddamn play the 4 too. Adam, do you see that growth being able to keep us in kind of like the same stratosphere as where we were last year?
No, and I'm not even going to answer the rest of the question. I'm just going to go right to Tyler Hero and why he doesn't have this extension right now. So let me get this straight. They're going after Kevin Durant. They don't get Kevin Durant. So, okay, let's sign or trade for Donovan Mitchell, right? That's why Tyler doesn't have this extension. They don't do that either. They don't go all out to get Donovan Mitchell. So let me try to figure this out. So they don't give Tyler his extension. If they give it to him now, it'll upset him for sure, but he's not going to turn it down. It'll upset Tyler to know that he was in trade talks, and it'll also tell the fans that they were trying to get Donovan Mitchell, but didn't go all out to go get him, or they didn't do everything necessary to go get him. So Tyler Hero is sort of like the consolation prize, which is unfair to Tyler, but he still also needs to show up in the playoffs and do his part if he's going to talk. So then where do we go from here? You're not going to trade for a star if you extend Tyler. What you are going to do is trade one of those first-round picks and a Duncan Robinson, and then get a meddling guy on the fourth spot
Did you mean to say middling?
Middling. I think he meant middling.
Middling. Like what did John Collins do to you, bro?
I'm foreign. I'm not from here. So now you have this guy at the 4 that's not a star. He's also not, whatever, right? Whatever you just traded Duncan by himself for. I'm just going to assume that Jay Crowder is on this team because they're going to get into a trade with Duncan Robinson and get Jay Crowder. So now you have this is your lineup, right? Tyler, Kyle, Jimmy, Jay, Bam, 3 firsts, 2 swaps, and then the guys that become trade eligible in December and January. Mm-hmm. Is that enough to get you a star when one becomes available?
Only if he wants Miami and it's an exceptional situation.
Not even. No,
but I'm saying it has to be that player has to have leverage over his team, and he has to be saying. It has to be a Jimmy situation.
That seems to be the caveat with every player that we're talking about.
100%. Yes.
Go look at the list of players that are going to be free agents this summer.
Literally, it would have to be like Kyrie wants Miami, and we know he doesn't necessarily, right? So yeah, I agree with you. I'm just saying that's the type of situation it would take.
We need to understand and familiarize ourselves with the situation that the Heat are in. They're not going to be the number one target for these players to come to Miami. They just won't be, because part of it's because of the culture that they have. Part of it's because of the players that they have. And the other part of it is because they don't offer certain things that other players want. And then we're in a situation and a league where a lot of things are agent driven and it's player driven. So we are not going to end up with the star that some fans think we will, which is why to me it is even more upsetting that they couldn't land Donovan Mitchell, because he checked every single box.
Yeah.
And they decided that he wasn't worth it. The only other one that I can see becoming available that if they could swing a 3 or 4 team deal somehow is Jaylen Brown.
Oh God, don't do that.
But
my heart can't take it.
We're like 2 years away from that discussion even happening. And by then Jimmy Butler is going to be on one leg. And so it won't even matter. So we're in a situation where we need to pray that Tyler Hero takes that leap into becoming a top 30 player.
Please. And
that Bam Adebayo starts to show more of an offensive game and that he can take over games on a regular basis.
And that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander decides he wants to win.
And we're also in a position where we need to pray that Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry can stay healthy and be ready and not regress the next following year. That's where we are.
Adam just eloquently said we're fucked. That's what he just said. And so it's kind of like, bro,
Adam is also saying that this is the last year of the Jimmy Butler build if you can't get anything.
You just shown that you can't get anything, bro. Like you just pretty much laid out that ain't shit gonna become available for us that's gonna propel this team to championship contention this year. And at this point, I feel like Miami's just wasting Jimmy Butler's time. Like it just feels like that. If you're gonna go all in on this younger build and get
what's crazy on that specifically is that, people are, no, they're not. I mean, things could have broken their way last year if Jimmy hits that shot, blah, blah, blah. It's like this team, we've talked about this so many times. For sure, we all want them to win, but they are a try-hard team. They're not more talented than the other teams that are in their kind of stratosphere, right? So they need everything to break their way. And in order for they had injuries at the end of last season, they had inconsistency from core rotation players in the playoffs, and then Jimmy missed the shot, and then the Bucks didn't have Chris Middleton, and then the Nets fell apart, and all this shit happened, right? And so if all of these things have to break right for the Heat, I think last year a lot, while some things didn't break their way, the majority of things in the playoffs kind of did break their way, and people don't really want to acknowledge that. They want to only look at the side of where, the Heat got screwed because of this, and that, but you don't want to acknowledge the things that actually helped the Heat be in the position that they were in, where they could have gone to the finals, right? So another year, more potential for all of these things to go wrong. You really need everything to break your way in order for this roster to get to where they want to get to. And I agree with you on the Jimmy thing, man.
No, for sure. Go ahead, Adam. You seem like you want to jump in there.
So, I mean, we can sit here and lament on the fact that, if they didn't get injured 2 years ago against the Lakers, they might have a championship right now. If they didn't If Jimmy hit that shot, they might have a championship right now. We can sit here and play these hypotheticals all day, but I can do the same for 29 other teams that had the chance, or if they drafted this guy over this guy, they would be in this position. If Kevin Love and Kyrie didn't get hurt in 2016, the Cavs might have another championship. We could do this all day, but teams that want to get over that hump make decisions and choices that get them over that hump. The Celtics went out and they got Malcolm Brogdon after losing in 6. The Heat, after the bubble, didn't do that. Yes, we can sit here and say the Heat, well, they re-signed their guys. Victor Oladipo with a full offseason. He's going to come back. He's going to look good. He might be the starter. He's going to be back to his old self. That's not guaranteed. We don't know that. What have we seen out of Victor?
Neither is Kyle Lowry's health. Like, I mean, people want to assume that Kyle Lowry's health is going to be kind of like an end all be. Like, this man is getting older. I don't assume that he'll ever be healthy for another full season again. Jimmy Butler has a history of missing games. Tyler Hero has a history of missing games. Like, in order for this team to be like even close to the same bar that they hit last year, all of these guys would need to maximize what they have even more so than they did last year. And I just don't think that's like a realistic opportunity that's available to Miami. And people still talking that shit. Donovan Mitchell to the Heat really felt like it was meant to be.
It still might be. It still might be in a few years, but we're talking right now.
The KMS, bro.
Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying. Like, if it is in a few years, bro, like what does this team look like then? Like, of course, it's not gonna have Jimmy on it.
I mean, it might. It might, dude. He might be the next UD just at 30, 40 something million. Like,
oh my God.
Man, I want it so bad for Jimmy, but like I would not be shocked if they just ride it out. Like, they could literally be a first round exit next year. I don't think they will be, but they could be. If they're a first round exit next year, I don't think they're moving him next summer. I just don't see it.
We left the playoffs with the same ideas, collectively. We all thought the same thing. Get Jimmy Butler help. Do not put Jimmy Butler through that regular season and that playoff run where he did everything. And what did we do? What did the Heat do? Nikola Jovic. And I know that there are people that are saying, oh, well, you have to be number one on this list. We know. We understand. Okay, they're not number one on the list. Okay, well, then let's go out and get more assets. How are they going to get more assets? Right? They're not in a situation where they can. So what do we do from here? What is there left to do? Right? What did the Heat do? Like,
they're waiting on the next guy, the next disgruntled star to
say Miami and have 1 year left on his contract.
But how many times are we going to put ourselves in a position where we're waiting on the next guy? Like, this was the damn guy, bro. Like, I'm literally like tired of being like the bridesmaid and never being the bride. Like, that's kind of what the fuck Miami's end up like. They're perpetually in the conversation. And look, y'all can shit on Bill Simmons' pod all you want to, but
he was 100% right.
He was spot the fuck on. Like,
spot on.
The Miami Heat are in on every goddamn superstar that comes on the market, and they get none of them. Like, this is like Pat Riley needs to be brought to the forefront of this situation, and all of you fucking front office meat munchers need to get off that dick, bro. Like, that boy has not been successful at like landing the whale. Like, y'all motherfuckers always want to bring out these harpoons when somebody's name come up, but then you make excuses for them when we don't land them bitches.
They did land a whale last summer, though.
They'll say, look, he's the guy that got Shaq. We're bringing up scenarios from 20 years ago to try to make a point about this year, right? They got Jimmy Butler. Well, Jimmy Butler was actually handed to him, right? But like,
yeah, it's not like you're doing incredible business and you're just swindling a team. It's like these guys wanted to come here, right? Like, that's how you got Jimmy Butler. But man, like we went from Giannis to Vic to Kyle, and then we wanted Donovan, KD, and then Donovan, and just like it. I don't know, man. Like, everything has to break their way.
I understand. I think my issue with this is that Donovan's gone, right? Yeah. If Donovan didn't get traded, I would still say the Heat are in a good spot. They're in a good position, and that they're fine. But the fact that Donovan is gone, this is the one guy the one guy for the last 4 or 5 years, after all the flirting, after seeing Bam and Donovan together, after seeing him wear D-Wade's jersey and saying that was his idol, and him playing exactly like Dwayne Wade did and looking a lot like him, you missed out on him. He's gone. He might be back in 3 years, but he won't come cheap either. You'll have to pay again to go get him, right? Either way, you lose, right? You lose out on Jimmy's window because I don't think anyone's going to be available over the next 6 months magically. I could be very wrong, and then you can come back to this and yell at us, but this isn't an overreaction. I already know what the comments are going to be of this video.
Oh, bro.
Reacting.
It's so negative. Wah.
This is the time to do it. And for the people that are going to say, well, it's a good thing they didn't trade for a Jeremy Grant, or it's a good thing that they didn't trade for so-and-so, because now they're in position to get a Donovan Mitchell. They're in position to get a Kevin Durant. We're always in position, right?
They're like in the third position, though.
Right? We're always in third or fourth position. We just never end up with these guys.
They're Venus Williams, bro.
They still have all their picks.
And then it's like, as we in position, so people are cool with us being in position, and they want to praise us for being in the position. Like, but
they're always in the mix.
They always in the mix. Like that's not indicative of a front office that's kind of like
loser,
maximizing
losing mentality. But
like you said, I think that's a perfect word.
Second place is first place loser.
Losing. That's kind of what it is, bro. We're always losing. But if y'all want to avoid losing, then y'all need to make sure y'all get y'all insurance, like the primary sponsor of the basement, which is Simple Health Advisors. Make sure you give my guy James Poole a call. Go ahead, bro, Justin. You slow on the tape today, baby. Make sure y'all give my boy James Poole a call at 321-345-7738 or email him at jpoe@simplehealthadvisors.com. They are the primary sponsor of the Basement Sports Network, and insurance doesn't need to be complicated. Y'all just make sure y'all go check out the people over at Simple Health Advisors. Yeah, bro. We wanted to keep this shit short. I think we're good. Any final thoughts before? No, yeah, I know. I'm in
such a bad mood. I don't even want to talk anymore.
What was the last Pat Riley masterstroke of a move?
Jimmy, but you can't. But you can't. Yeah, but you can't right. That's what I was gonna say. I would say Jimmy, but you can't just attribute that to Pat.
That's a good question.
Can I ask a counter question and then Royal go ahead and
because it's not Goran, I'll tell you that.
Okay, but is it fair to kind of put it in view it in the lens of it has to be all Pat? You know what I mean? I get that fans are all right.
Oh, you want to blame Chet Kammer and Andy Ellis?
It's the Heat. It's the Heat. It's not just Pat. We know Pat is not the one that's doing all the legwork there. What is the last fantastic move the Heat have made? And don't give me they found Caleb Barton or they found Gabe Vincent, Max Strus. Those are good moves. We're not talking about that.
I think the best move, and this might sound counter to what we've been talking about. I think the best move for the Heat in the past couple of years is drafting Tyler Hero.
Yeah, or Bam. Yeah,
or Bam. Drafting Tyler Hero and Bam. Drafting Tyler and Bam were the best moves that the front office has kind of had over the past couple of years. If you're talking about in terms of other things outside of the draft, somebody said Iggy and Dre. Iggy and Jay. Iggy and Jay was good because it helped us get from under Justice Winslow and some other shit like that. So, but
those are tertiary moves. Those are moves that get you a little closer, but it's not when the chips are down, you're going up against LeBron and AD in the finals. Iggy is not winning you games there. You know what I mean?
That's not the kind of move. So is it Goran?
It's not Goran because Goran was a free agent and you gave up 2 firsts, which handicapped the Heat from making a whole bunch of other moves. That was not a good move.
The Oladipo move was pretty, it was pretty.
They got him on low, but that's the same kind of move as the Iggy and Jay. It's the same kind of move as the Iggy and Jay. It's you're adding a solid rotation player at a bargain. Okay, cool. That's what they do. We know they're
spitballing here, bro. The fact that we have to dig so deep into the archive to find the move that we
Luol Deng as a free agent. You know what I mean? The pickings are slim.
Bro. I think it's tough.
That's something that I think we need to actually have a discussion about, maybe a stream about. I'm not saying that the Heat front office needs overhauling or anything. I just think that it's a discussion. Why?
I want to give credit. I want to give credit to Threat, who started this discussion the very first minute he started streaming with us. Like he has a Pat Riley agenda. Kendall has a Pat Riley agenda. Twan has a Pat Riley agenda. Like all of these guys have been questioning Pat for quite some time. And look, like you guys can get pissed off all you want to and want to, rest on Pat's laurels, but that is not getting it done today. It's not getting it done with today's players, and it's not getting it done for this Heat team. And I know we could keep going, but we had a 30-minute hard out, and we already passed that. So thank you guys in the comments.
I will be on Spaces tonight.
Y'all make sure y'all join Adam on Spaces tonight. He probably gonna use his big account because he never uses it when he's dealing with the basement. But you know how that boy he flawed. So thank you guys in the comments as always for joining the show, making it much more fun than it would have been without you. Thank you to these two guys who didn't know that I was jumping on the stream anyway, Adam and Ariel.
Best thing that's happened today by far.
Yeah, we'll fuck with y'all next time.
We're like the OG Avengers.
Yeah, I mean, to be real, like we are the OGs of this network.
Who's Captain America? Ariel.
Oh, that's easy.
No, isn't he black, bro?
Wait, who? Me or Captain America?
Come on.
I'm just trying to. I know what the answer is. I'm just trying to understand what you're saying.
I'm just trying to. I don't want to be Captain America, to be honest with you. That's a very terrible title for a black man. Adam, you can be Captain America. You stand for everything American. Yeah, even though you're from Egypt. Play the video.
The new Captain.
Oh yeah.
I'm Sam Wilson.
We packing somebody up tonight.
No, the fuck you're not.
Come on in, take your shoes off before we close the door. Few rules, heat pack in the air, we about to blow. This the basement, ain't nobody safe, you already know. Grab a seat and kick your feet before you get too comfortable. You want the X's and the O's, the
Ariel She-Hulk,
friends in the foe, the butlers and the heroes. You can feel it in your soul.
Miss Marvel.
But if somebody need to go, we be sure to let you know. Going hard for my dog.
And what, bitch?
Thing like Jimmy down the lane of 13 off the screen. Whole squad keep it tucked like number 17. Bring your takes and your memes. Going hard for the team. Going down in the basement.
Who put Anthony ahead of me, man?
It's going down
Justin.
in the basement. Get your
Justin,
takes
bro.
Get your takes Going down in the basement.